Hello.
Hi, welcome to our 1 year Vanniversary video.
Vanniversary.
It's been a year since we actually kind of moved into the van full time and handed back the keys in the house.
Yes.
And a year since Mandy
left my job. It was the 6th of December, which was the year for me. And it was 2 days after that we moved out of the house. And yeah, what a year.
What a year. So a bit of a recap for you new subscribers.
Hello.
We thought we'd go over our kind of story of how we got to living in a van. That's it then. Bye house.
Last time.
Do you want to hand the keys back?
Yeah, take this to the estate agent.
Well, so 12 and a half years.
Yeah.
Pretty good going.
Yep.
Nice house. And now
That's the house.
now that's the house. So off we go. We just decided, after spending almost at that time probably a year doing little breaks and meetups and things like that, and probably specifically one we did with where Mevy did his first year in a van kind of video.
Oh yeah.
So we got to kind of listen to him while he was making a video and going through his options of why he did this and why he did that, and we're thinking, well, we could do that. And
that kind of planted the seed a little bit for the fact that it was something that we would like to do, because we have always spent time. I mean, we have gone through so many times where we have bought caravans or camper vans or motorhomes and all of the things like that, and we've always chosen those holidays above anything else. You know, we've done one all-inclusive holiday in our entire married life because we prefer the transient nature of the van, of moving around and changing where you are, and you get bored very easily. So
really?
Sitting in I don't know if you'd noticed. So sitting in one place was never the thing. So it was always the chosen form of holiday. And we were always sad to go back to the house. Yeah. So being around people who live in vans, and you know, with the few retired people who get the chance to have both, they've got house and vans and stuff, it just seemed like it would really planted the seed.
It did at that stage, isn't it? And the fact that the house we were in, we bought during the house price crash of 2007. And for many years, obviously, our house wasn't worth as much as we owed on a mortgage.
No, and because we when we bought it and didn't sell our original house.
No, we couldn't at the time, could we?
So we couldn't get a repayment mortgage on it.
No.
So we were thinking, that's fine. It was one that you could overpay on. You know, we crack on and pay as much off that as we can.
And we were hoping that the other house, which we eventually rented out, we were hoping, 10 years of that maybe we'll double our money, because historically that's what happened in the housing market.
Yep.
We double our money and then pay all that off this other house, and then maybe move at that time as well with whatever's left. And none of that happened.
No.
The
only thing that did happen was us overpaying on a mortgage and not getting anywhere with it. You know, we ploughed a lot of extra money into it.
But the rental side was a nightmare. It cost us money every year because people would trash the house or not pay or whatever. Yeah. We eventually sold that. Didn't really make any money out of it, enough to pay the fees and everything, but it certainly didn't cover what it cost us.
No, not at all.
But we decided to move anyway, and we decided that we needed to, obviously, overpay on the mortgage as much as we could to clear the negative equity. Yeah.
With the house, it was just difficult. We didn't know where to go. We were stuck on what to buy or where to buy it.
Or what size we'd need. At the time, obviously, we were almost thinking, well, it's got to have 6 metres worth of driveway to fit the other van on the drive.
Yeah. And then we thought about work, because we thought if we're going to go and live in the van, what would we be able to do for work? I can probably count on one hand the amount of days in a month that I'd come back from work not complaining.
True.
It was a stressful job.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was really, really exhausting, and other times it was people, I think, that would make my day bad.
Yes.
There's always stuff like that goes on in work, and we just sat down and worked out some numbers.
Yeah.
And it was just like, right.
What do we need? And how can we get there?
Yeah. And it was a big thing for me because I've been there for 14 and a half years and I did love my job and I worked with some very nice people. But I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't working towards a bigger career in any way. So it's like, is this what I just want to keep on doing? And just like with the house, it was like, well, I don't think I want to do that, but I don't know what I do want to do. So it just seemed like, all right, well, this is the full-on reset button. We'll reset what we want to do with the house and where we want to live, and also what I want to do with my job, because John is lucky enough that he can do his from anywhere.
Yeah, that's the only thing really that really helped with the decision for us, is that we still had a regular income, and that my clients, I had a chat with them and they're all right with me providing a service over a phone and email remotely. So
yeah. And then this little thing pops up and says, well, what if we didn't choose a different house straight away?
Yeah.
You know, what if we decided to live in the van for a bit until we could decide what to do, and then we'd figure out how much money we had and how much time we had to do things. And
then we almost saw it as an opportunity to tour the UK. So, you know, whether that be finding a place in Wales or Scotland or, you know, any part of England that we could choose to settle down again, to get either a rented house, buy a house, or even like a static caravan. So you'd spend, you know, sort of 9-10 months in the static a year, and then the rest of the time on holiday touring or whatever in the van.
Yeah, so when they because a lot of the caravan sites, say in Wales for instance, they don't allow year-round access because then you can't live in it. It's a law, isn't it, there?
Yeah.
So a lot of them have like a 10.5-month season, so we figured that's perfect, you know. We spend on and off, you know, to and fro into that, but we've got access to it for 10.5 months, and then we scoot off to somewhere warm in winter. So when that closes down, it worked out to be like a really good plan to have.
Yeah, and that was the plan. We actually went around a lot of places, a lot of these caravan parks and stuff like that, priced it all up, worked it all out, and everything was kind of like going to our plan, if you like. And then we came over here and we did a couple of months over here touring, and realised that full-time in the original van was too small, specifically for Coop to be able to move around and that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
So that's why when we came back after the first stint in Europe, we bought this van.
See, the funny thing is, I was looking through my photos the other day, just having a look at, like you do, you know, just having a look back. And on our way out last time, we'd stopped off to see my dad.
Oh yeah.
And we'd stayed at that car park we have opposite Marquis Motorhomes, and we'd taken pictures of motorhomes on the way out, because even in the little bit, we were still thinking, you know, well, let's just see what options there are. And then after spending maybe even the first 2 months, I remember sitting on the beach in Quartera looking at this exact motorhome.
Yep.
And thinking, you know, seeing Coop struggle so much, and if I was cooking, then there's no way that John could even get to the toilet, because it was just too small for us all in there. So it's just like that. Well, if we are going to do this and continue to do this full time, then we just need to upgrade a little bit. Yeah.
Our two criteria were money, and because when we sold the house, we didn't make any money. I think it was like a couple of thousand after we'd paid the fees and things like that. So there was no equity left in the house. We haven't got a big pile of money sat there going, oh well, when it doesn't work out,
we'll just go back and buy another house.
Yeah, there's 200 grand ready or anything. We haven't got anything
nothing
like that.
No.
Our money is in the van. And that was the next step, was the value of our last van, what we got as a trade-in against this one. And then the other criteria really was that it had the space inside. Coop can move around, we can move around each other, because we know living in it, there are moments in time when we don't want to be right next to each other.
No, so we needed two different, two separate areas at the front and the back. It would be nice to have the ability to slam a door, but you know, sometimes there's just none of that. So
still haven't fitted the slam door button yet.
No, we need one of them. We need a slam.
If anyone knows where you can buy just a button with a battery in it and it makes a slamming door noise and you hit it, big red one would be better, wouldn't it? Yeah. Let us know in the comments down below. But
yeah, so that was a thing, and we needed more storage space.
Yes.
So it was more storage. and more internal space really was the thing. And then when we found this, and it was the only one that we'd seen before,
Pretty
but it was
much
the
in
only
the
one,
country as well.
and it was the only one that Coop just walked straight in. He didn't
That's a good
struggle
point, actually,
getting in
yeah.
because it's got the drop step on the front,
Yeah.
and he just trotted right in, and we just stood there going.
And went straight up onto the beds at the back.
Yeah, we actually told him off for that one because it's just like, it's not ours, buddy. You can't go up there. When he's like, oh, but look, it's so comfy. So yeah, Coop chose it really.
So that really gets us to where we're at as far as why we left the house and the van we're in now. And it gets us to the start of COVID, which is probably the very worst time to live in a van, really, because we were trapped in a place where we couldn't move. It wasn't nice by any stretch of the imagination. We did it so we could be as close as possible to family.
Yep.
And for that, we are thankful for, because that time, you would never normally do that. We'd never normally sit for 3 months and see our daughter and grandchild and everything
and
for that
son-in-law.
long.
No,
So.
and that's a time that, although it was an awful thing going on, because we created a bit of a bubble with them. Daughter was struggling with it really badly, so it just seemed fate, really, that it wasn't pleasant for us to sit where we were sitting, but being able to help out and be around them for the time that we did made it all worthwhile. Because as a mum, you want to help your kids out as much as you can. You just can't sit there and let all this awfulness get to them and do that. So we were very fortunate to have a lot of good from the bad. It was very worthwhile dealing with all of the crap that we dealt with.
Yeah, overall, looking back at it, the positives.
At the time, it felt like crap.
Yeah.
But no, it was a good thing.
But then we moved on from that. Obviously, we were allowed out again, which did actually at the time ring a bell in my head of whilst we were able to move because this is our home, and therefore we could move our home because it's a vehicle and you were allowed to travel around in a vehicle again. If we had gone for a static, we wouldn't have been able to use that static.
No, because they were all closed, weren't they?
Because it was considered to be a leisure vehicle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's made an impact in future decisions that we might make about where we settle. So for the last year, the van's been our home, apart from a couple of nights seeing Dave and Joe in Goathland. We've slept every night in the van, wherever it's been. I think finding park-ups, wherever we go, has been something we just get used to.
Yeah.
I know people ask questions about that. A lot of people ask questions about working remotely. That's not an issue. Just buy yourself a little Wi-Fi router. Someone's made a decent video about that one. Yeah. However, I do need to update it because I do know that both things are no longer available, so I will update it soon.
Yeah.
But working remotely, streaming from the van, getting online wherever we are isn't an issue. And daily life isn't an issue either. You go to the shops, you buy stuff, you can store it in a van, you can cook it. Mandy's cooking is fantastic, as you know.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart.
Moving around in the van, even though this is a bigger van, that's not really been any issue. Some of the places we've got this thing has been
You've got this
good.
thing more than we would have got the smaller van because it's got a bit of ground clearance. So
yes.
you've just got this in all sorts of places.
Definitely.
And you've got us out of all sorts of places, yes. Which is very important too.
Yeah.
But no, it's the weirdest thing because I think the worst thing that I find about van life is the finding places to stay. And I think that sometimes it comes and it's really easy. You're really good at spotting things, and John, while I'm sat playing blinking Candy Crush on my phone, John's having a look round to see places that we can use, places that look like, because obviously nicely out of the way, interesting stuff to do around it and all of that. So he does enjoy the search for where to stay. And it's just worked out really well because you do that. And I think that you're the saviour of our little van lifey thing because you are really good at finding places to go to.
I think the only thing about that that we've worked out quite recently, though, is that we need to stop moving as often.
Yeah. I think we still move like we're on holiday, like we're touring and seeing things.
Kind of, but I've got this thing where, because obviously it's still not technically camping, it's stopping and parking for the night. You don't want to get your chairs outside and have a nice relaxing view, looking over some vista or something like that. So everything's based in the van, and therefore you're probably in a location whereby people can maybe see you, maybe not. and I'm uncomfortable staying there for too long that I cause a nuisance. I don't know.
Yeah, he does want to. It's like 1 or 2 nights, 3 nights. I think maybe has been our maximum somewhere that's not been
Not
a campsite.
very often, though.
But that's not been very often, because what we don't want to do is make a nuisance of ourselves, I suppose, isn't it?
So, but I think we need to work on it. I need to find at least one park up a week that can do us for 3 nights or something like that.
Yeah.
And then that might help with our easing of it, because it is really, really tiring. That is the only really negative thing that I would say I've noticed over the last year, is that moving constantly is really tiring.
It is tiring. It's more tiring than you'd think, even though the majority of the time we're very lucky. Most of our stuff is packed away all the time because we've got
Ready
this
to go,
space.
yeah.
And I know I was talking to Missy the other day, and she was saying that that they need a bit of extra time because they have to put the dogs in the van and pack all the things up, and they've got more. They need 20 minutes before they can set off.
Yeah.
Whereas the majority of the time, if we're wild camping, everything goes back, because we can. Everything goes back in a cupboard.
Yeah, and if we're asked to move on, then we just get out of the way then.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we just want. We just need to be. The biggest thing we have to do is put Coop in his bed and turn the seats round for when we're going somewhere. So we're lucky that we can do that and be that way. But yeah, it is tiring, isn't it? It's tiring with all the constantly moving.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier about budget, and soon we're going to get onto questions. But the biggest one people ask is, how much does it cost? And I've actually catalogued everything over the last, probably about 11 and a half months, because I don't want some of the COVID stuff to ruin the figures. And also, when we first set off, we really did spend like we're on holiday. So if I drill it into what do we actually do, week by week, month by month, as just normal van life, still travelling around. So we're doing laundry, we might go on a campsite now and again, but we're eating good food, we're having a drink, and we're moving around, we're buying gas and all that kind of stuff. It's around about £780, 785 thereabouts as an average. So if that helps you in any way, hopefully it does, I don't know.
Yeah, and that includes obviously all Coopy stuff as well.
Yeah. One thing to bear in mind in that one is that includes mobile fees. So we have a mobile phone each, and the van has its own mobile contract. It includes van insurance and our own travel insurance. Obviously, it includes an element of things like road fund tax, maintenance fees, like MOTs and servicing and all that kind of stuff's all been amalgamated in there. So it's pretty much everything. Now, one thing I do want to state there, we don't have any debt or anything like that.
No.
So that is our actual living cost. There's no repayments of anything or anything like that in there. So it's not bad, and it's perfectly all right for our income anyway. So.
Absolutely, and like you say, we're not scrimping on stuff. We do eat very well, and we like a beer. It's one of those things that we'll sit down and we'll have a beer in the evening and whatnot. If
we buy new clothes, all that kind of stuff in there, mind you, I haven't really bought any, but you've changed, haven't you, in your styles and stuff like that?
Yeah, so. I think I over-egged how much I might want to dress up when we're in the van, and literally every pair of pants I had were jeans, and
not comfy.
No, nobody wants to lounge. I mean, I do lots of hiking and taking Coopy for walks and stuff, but also I do lots of sitting and film watching and things like that. So yeah, it's I've gone for comfy but nice.
But it doesn't include, just want to make sure that it doesn't include buying lithium batteries, wheels and tyres and things like that.
No, that's why it took him so long to go through and calculate everything, is because he's had to take out all of the bits that, the extra bits that he's done that have been treats for the van.
Speaking of the van and its setup, we've got 200 amp hours of usable power via 2 lithium batteries. They are a bit over there. They're 108 amp hour each, but say 200. We've got 470 watts of solar on the roof, and we've got a 20 amp B2B, which is built in the van, and a 30 amp solar controller. We've changed or put in as many LED lights and USB fairy lights and stuff like that as we can. But obviously Mandy likes a coffee. We've got
Really?
a little bit. We've got a 3 kilowatt pure sine wave inverter.
Yes, which runs everything, coffee and straighteners and hairdryers now and everything.
Which means obviously that we do consume a fair amount of power, usually about 50 amp hours a day. So that's our little stats on the van. Some of you asked about MPG and stuff like that. We get around about 32 to 33 on average. If we're going down the motorway, we can get around about 40. Obviously, if we're
doing the hills that we've been doing,
then about 10. Wheels and tyres, are they worth it? Absolutely.
Oh, they've got us out of so many situations, and there's no road noise with them. I don't think there's no annoying rumble as you're driving down the road.
But they got us into places that have been really interesting too.
Yeah,
so
into and out of.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll give you an idea of everything about how we got to live in a van, what we think about living in a van, the van itself, a bit about us. Questions. Oh, that's not a question, it's a compliment. You've both been very brave. Thank you, Paul. I don't think we've been brave though.
It's a big step.
It is a big step. I just think we were pragmatic about our reasons of what we were going to do anyway, and why we chose to move sideways to van life for a little bit maybe.
See, that's the way you think though, isn't it? Because you've always got this very pragmatic approach to everything, whereas for this was like on a par with me getting in a kayak, was me like leaving my job.
True.
Think how big a thing change for me is. So it was I felt like a big brave girl anyway when I did it. So that's it. Anyway, questions. How do you think Coop has changed from a year ago when we had a house?
Well, he gets to see more places, see more people, but he does have to travel around in a van, which he hates.
He does hate it.
But in all fairness, I think he loves being in the van. Once we stopped, I think he loves being in the van more than he liked being in the house.
Yeah, and he's got us around him all the time now, which he never had before. I mean, obviously you work from home anyway.
But I would say he is a more sprightly and energetic dog than he was in the house.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back on the videos before we did do it, people have said the difference in Coop. He is full of life. He's a bit of a knob because he's so full of life. He's just jumping all the time, and he's because we love seeing him like that. Maybe we've been a little bit lax on telling him that he shouldn't be doing that. So maybe we have to work on that a little bit. But we used to have to sit and cajole him to make him eat his food. Yeah. And he's the only spaniel I've ever known that is not food orientated.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't. He just scoffs it.
He does. He's
which
happy.
Is good. That means he's happy.
Next question.
How many times have you argued in the last year?
Many times.
Oh, yes. Yes, obviously we have everything from little disagreements to full-on shouty bits, which is...
Where the slammy door button's needed.
Yes, the slammy door button is very much needed. We made a deal before we left, saying that if one of us storms off, the other person just has to let them, because there's not really that much room to storm to. And if I'm totally honest, I do the storming. Yeah, I am the over emotional stormer, and John just has to kind of leave me to it for a bit.
Whereas I'm the get it over and done with. It's done. It's finished. Move on.
Which, when you imagine those two things put together, no, he's sat there going, right then, so what do you want for tea? And I'm like, what do you mean, what do I want for tea? It's good fun. Yeah, lots, but we get over it quick. Or we try our very best to get over it as quickly as we can, because life is too short.
Yes.
So.
Absolutely.
Yep, we crack on.
Next question is, do you have any regrets on going full-time in the van? And is there anything you miss about living in a house? The living in a house bit, there's a couple of questions that are almost the same about that one. I miss a flushing toilet that I don't have to empty. Yeah. That'd be my one on that one.
I miss the back garden. Purely for the ability to open the back door and let Coop have a run round for as much as he wants when it's raining.
Oh, right, okay then.
Because otherwise it was sort of, you have to go out and get wet with him, whereas then you don't. So.
But I don't have any regrets. I think, again, life's too short for regrets. Move on, do something different. Change the scenery, change your walls, whatever.
If you think that the decision you made wrong, make a different one.
Yeah. Next question. Did you find it hard to sleep in the van at first at night?
Yes.
I would say it's for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks worth of moving around and getting used to noises outside, road noise, traffic noise, whatever, people walking past and all that kind of stuff. And the confidence that you park somewhere that's okay.
Yeah, getting that, because at first we ask people, or people ask us all the time, like, how do you know where's good? And it's like, we always say you've got to trust your gut. However, give yourself a couple of weeks to start off with, because everywhere you park, your gut's going, no, that's not right, there's something wrong. I'm under a street light. If you've got decent blinds in your van, street light doesn't make a difference.
No. Don't park under trees if it's raining.
Yeah, there is that. Don't park under trees if it's raining. There's loads of things that you will very, very quickly figure out for where to park and where not to park.
Yeah.
But never go against your gut. If you feel unsafe anywhere, move.
Yep, something feels wrong, find another park up.
Yep, and there will always be somewhere that you can find, even if it just turns into being a supermarket car park, because it's not normally well lit and it's a good fallback plan. Normally they don't mind you being there. But yeah, good couple of weeks. But even so, if you've got a husband who likes driving your van into places where it seems that if it rains a lot you might struggle getting the van back out of,
or so high up a mountain that if the handbrake fails you might roll and fall off the mountain.
Thousands and thousands of feet down a mountain, that can stop me from sleeping anyway. But then that's a whole different thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've had some lovely questions, things like, obviously, do you work on the road? We covered that in the chat. What's been your favourite memory so far? As far as memories are concerned, obviously we've been to lots of different places, and we did a little video about what the favourite places were that we've been.
Yeah, and we did a video about working online, how to get remote jobs and all that kind of stuff, so find an income stream or several income streams to work online.
To do all of that.
Right, so hopefully that's given you a nice little insight into why we live in a van and what it's been like for a year, and a few little hints and tips maybe as well. But if you do have any other questions, obviously you can always ask in the comment section down below, and my lovely assistant Mandy
we'll answer them for you. So I do love going through the comments. It's one of my favourite things to do, to go and have a good chat. John says it's really funny because I'm sat there and I'll be smiling down at my phone and chuckling away and stuff, because I love hearing everybody's stories and replying to everyone.
There's one there for you from Terry, what's his face?
Yeah, because it was something about batteries or something about your cameras or whatever. So John gets the technical stuff.
Oh, speaking of cameras, don't forget other channel, Gadget John. I'm doing the series about the gear and how I make videos and stuff like that. So I think we're up to 4 videos now. So if you haven't caught up, go over there and have a look.
Yep, and there'll be another one out on Monday.
Maybe.
He can't help himself, no. I tell you. If you've got this far, thank you so much for watching.
Yep.
We do get lots of questions asked about why we started all of this, why we didn't rent the house out, why I don't work, all things like that. So hopefully all of the questions have been answered on all of that stuff. We have had an absolute blast this year. Yep. It has had its ups and downs, but I wouldn't change it for the world. It's been amazing. And we keep meeting amazing people.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the best things about it all. Everyone will say what's the best part about van life, and they'll say the people, and nobody is wrong.
Right, we're done?
We are done. I'll shut up now.
Right guys, thanks for watching.
Yes.
And we'll catch you on a regular vlog next week, where we will be heading towards Portugal.
Portugal.
Right.
Yeah, see you soon guys. Take care. Bye.